our hands are how we interact with the world, and they're very complex. We can do a lot of different complicated movements with our hands, pick things up different ways, and so forth. So it is important to develop grip strength in different ways. Um, just like our training, though, we don't have to do excessively complex movements. We can kind of break down grip strength and hand strength into a few basic categories, right? So just like we have pushing, pulling, squatting, and hinging for kind of our full body movements, for our hands we can have crushing strength, which is driven by the fingers, and we can have pinching strength, which is driven by the thumb. So use another type of gripper. The thumb is the weak point here when I close it like this, okay? So those are the two basic types of grip. Now from there we can break it down into dynamic or static. Now dynamic means that I'm in motion, just like with the gripper, I'm opening and closing it. A static example of crushing strength would be holding on to a bar to do deadlifts or rows or pull-ups or something like that, kettlebell swings, where you're crushing it to keep it from flying out of your hand. But your hand position isn't actually changing, so that's static. For pinching, an example would be a little harder to come across, but if you put a pair of flat-sided barbell plates together and picked them up with your thumb and fingers, that would be an example of static pinching, right? Now from there we can go into open and close-handed positions. So say we've got our static crushing grip, but closed hand would be a barbell, open hand would be something like this. I can't actually close my hand around it. This is going to be very hard to hold on to. I fitted this PVC pipe over a pull-up bar so that when I do pull-ups or hangs, it's extremely hard on my grip, right? It's a specialized grip implement to make things just a little more difficult and add a little extra grip work. Not necessary, but it can definitely help if your pursuit is kind of more or a deeper level of overall hand strength. So again, we have crushing, we have pinching, we have static, we have dynamic, we can have open and closed hand. And any variation of those already is quite a few combinations. But grip strength is even more complex than that. We can talk about wrist strength from different angles, right? We can talk about finger strength, like the amount, type needed for fingertip push-ups, or the type a climber might need. This is called a crimp grip, where the fingers are almost bent backward and you're supporting yourself like this. Climbers use that, rock climbers. But just to have our bases covered, something for crush and something for pinch is probably ideal. Now, if you're already lifting with high tension body weight, like pull-ups, kettlebell, ballistic exercises, or barbell, deadlifts or rows or some other pulling movements like that, your crush grip is already taken care of. Now that doesn't mean that I can suddenly, close grippers, or if I'm just good at deadlifts, I might be good at something like this as well. The carryover is limited because grip is very specific. But just to cover our bases, just to have, one element of crush grip in our training is useful. Same goes for pinch. Now this is where most people falter because pinch grip is, like I said, a little harder to come by. But if you just got a short gripper like this is Ironmind's IamTug gripper. Closing it with your thumb, in this position is going to give you that pinch grip. And if you don't want to get one of these, again, just picking up some dumbbells by the head, you can do, suitcase or farmer's carries with them, or you can just pick them up and do rows. Really just a few sets at the end of your workout is going to be enough to cover that base and fill in that gap. Now once you're done with both crushing and pinching, you should start opening your hand against resistance too. All of that, crushing, pinching, static, dynamic, open to closed hand, it's this movement. It's going from open to closed in some way. Even if you're holding it statically, it's trying to keep your hand closed or trying to keep it from being opened by the implement, right? So what we need to do is find some ways to work our extensor muscles in our hand and forearm and open our hands against resistance too, as well as closing them. So you can do this with any rubber band or any elastic, but I got this from Amazon. It's a little more convenient because it has these rings that you put your fingers in, and I can expand my hand here against resistance. And that's going to be just for hand health to balance things out. The other way I can do that, kind of the low-tech option, is taking a bucket, filling it with rice, uncooked rice, or sand, insert your hand into it, open it against that resistance, and that'll again give you that resisted opening that'll balance things out. So again, you probably already have the crushing grip in your training. Throw in some pinch, throw in some resisted opening just a couple times a week, and you'll be well on your way to covering those bases. And again, if you want to get more into grip strength, there are so many different ways to express your grip. It's just a matter of what you prefer to train and what you think is cool and you want to become good at. Hope that helps.